It wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy. Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
Hello, darlings. It's only me, being rather pretentious today with my baseball cap and my sunglasses. I just feel so tired today. And yes, you are not imagining things. The Cringe-Pocalypse is coming to you at a weekend from now on. Kind of makes sense because if I drop it on a Friday, some of you are already going to work. You might not feel like it's the weekend, but guess what, folks? I'm going to make the weekend well and truly welcome.
Seth Rollins, I'm coming for you, boy. And I'm coming hard.
Coming.
Yes, Thames Television, the station with knockers. Excuse me, there's one now.
No problem at all, Mrs. Kennedy.
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
The name's Nukem. Duke Nukem. No, I'm not here to kick ass or chew bubblegum. I'm not here to get even with those alien bastards for shooting up my ride either. I'm here to tell you to watch Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog. So watch out for him and his babes of the 1980s. Oh, and one more thing. Hail to the king, baby.
We gotta talk about the Spider-Man game that got released a few days ago. Spider-Man 2. Yes, you get two Spider-Man for the price of one. One is actually Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and the other one is a tag-along they call Miles Morales. And what's very egregious about this game so far, of the horrible gameplay I've actually seen, is that in this particular scenario, we now bringing in hate crimes into a Spider-Man game. And of course, Insomniac Games just couldn't look at the hot topic bed of hate crimes and take their pick. You could have had Islamophobia. You could have had anti-Semitic crime. Oh, but of course, what do they do now? They go for the obvious one, which is gay crime. If you really wanted to go down that woke boat on Italy's gondola, Insomniac Games, you probably could have gone with the mad, crazy South Yorkshire policewoman who thought she would use the own laws they've instigated about hate crimes being used against her, apparently, because a poor girl with Tourette's syndrome thought she looked like her mum or her auntie, who looked like Conan O'Brien from NBC. I mean, it doesn't get more funnier than that, does it, folks? But here, Miles Morales is scoping at two gay folks, one black, one Indian, because you can't have black and white now, apparently, or brown and white for whatever strange reason, and it is pretty cringe. So, by the way, I've got to set the scene for you here. Basically, the gay couple that Miles is protecting are talking about the first time they met and they went to the movies and had a bit of a kissy-wissy.
Vijay must be in the quad.
Time for the big reveal. Find a seat, grab some popcorn.
So he talked about previously, you might not have caught the scene, but he talked about giving the old Spider-Man poster a tug. I mean, you should be putting a Spider-Man poster on your wall, not tugging it. If it becomes stuck, it sounds a bit weird. But look at the model creations right here. This dude here, who I'm presuming is Lucas, just looks like a Lizzo Mazimba ripoff. And then our Indian guy here. Do all Indian boys of a certain age wear blue blazers and white shirts and a black tie, like a Harry Potter reject from the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Magic? It's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? And funny enough, in the United Arab Emirates, this game is going to be released there, and there are rumors that perhaps they might censor the game because of its LGBT woke nonsense. In fact, Miles' best friend in the game, who's the deaf black girl who spray paints walls, which actually is an act of vandalism when you think about it, but they've also got pride flags and stuff in the distance. It's pretty nonsensical. I mean, Modern Warfare 3 is coming out soon, right? I wonder if they're going to be swallowing more of that ESG nonsense, because it seems every Western game company at the moment is doing exactly that. And what gets funnier with the Spider-Man 2 saga, folks? Now, remember 2 weeks ago, maybe less, I covered covered a story about the Mary Jane from this game looking absolutely horrible. Well, it only gets funnier because if we go to this person right here, this is the writer of the Spider-Man game. Now, she's actually a woman, biologically speaking. She's middle-aged and she looks nice for her age. But apparently they took her face as the inspiration for the new look Mary Jane. The Mary Jane in the comics who's a hot model, who's a hot actress on Broadway, and then turned it into this. What is with the self-inserts, ladies and gentlemen? Stop it. It's not funny. It's not endearing. Nobody wants to see it. It's absolutely horrendous. And of course, the image I just flashed on before that was Jared Leto as the other Mary Jane you may not have seen. And actually, I prefer this version because at least Mary Jane here has a great pair of tits. And speaking of not having a great pair of tits, let's talk about Rachel Zegler. And believe it or not, she keeps opening her mouth and she keeps putting her size 10 feet in it more and more. What is she saying now? Because she's got a brand new film coming out very soon, which is like a week after the Marvels gets released with Brie Larson, which is going to be an absolute titanical disaster. Rachel Zegler claims that Suzanne Collins, the woman who ripped off Battle Royale and gave us Hunger Games, was the first author, the first female author to give us an anti-establishment young woman. Rachel Zegler went on record and actually said that, and here is the proof of the pudding. I've got to say here, Ms. Zegler looks like she stepped out of
Hunger Games kind of started that
dressing
era of,
for
like,
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Shadowhunters, you know, like it was.
Yes.
She was really, Suzanne was the first to write this young woman who was anti-establishment, anti-government, and really standing up for what's right in a very unconventional way, without an air of sweetness or even, like, you know, there was nothing cordial about her either.
Yeah, do you know what I find really disturbing about these kind of interviews? They're rehearsed, they're set pieces. You kind of go through the lines a few times and then you sit there, and no matter how genuine Rachel Zegler tries to be, you can tell she's like, I don't want to trip over my words. I don't want to do Miss Suzanne Collins any disservice here. I want to really, really credit her. Well, when you look back at history, and I've got to give credit here, obviously, to Bounding into Comics, Joan of Arc. She was an anti-authoritarian. And how did she pay for her crimes? She got burnt at the stake. Well done, I may add. As in medium and well done, not well done. Hooray, ha! And of course you had the fourth, all the way back to the first wave of feminism. You go back to the first wave, it's all about the suffragettes, and then the second wave, which is kind of like the most famous feministic wave, which is the 1960s through to the 1980s of female equality. Now it's just about insufferability and intersectionality. So we have all that nonsense, and as Bounding to Comics have said right here, this feels very reminiscent of when Jennifer Lawrence talked about she was the first female action lead in a franchise. Oh my God, Jennifer Lawrence and Rachel Zegler. These two need to make a film together. They really absolutely do. And of course, you know, Rachel Zegler, she gave a lovely boost to my channel. So I absolutely love her for doing that. She's such a doll. Me and Rachel talk on the phone every single day, don't you know? But of course, the Snow White movie. Now, this image caught me by surprise. I thought this was a bit of a joke, actually. But honestly, this is an actual still from the movie. And what is so funny about this is that it's actually Ms. Zegler center stage, surrounded by 7 Caucasian dwarves. I know. I mean, how bizarre is that, right? When you compare it to this brilliant image here, which looks like it's the Woodstock dwarves of varying colors and degrees of clothing that the fashion police are still after them for. I believe that these were going to be the live action dwarves. There's no question of a doubt about it, because you wouldn't dress people up in the attire that they're meant to be mocapping if they're going to be a live version of anyway. They're not stand-ins. They were definitely going to be the actual live action version. So credit to the Daily Mail for actually leaking these photos, which sent Disney into an absolute tizzy, which was absolutely brilliant in my part. I love it. I'm glad that Disney got eggs on their faces. It serves them right. Bob Iger, everybody who runs that woke show at Disney, because if you go woke, you're gonna get broke, aren't you, folks?
Dude, Kenny, enough about Tammy's knockers. You sound like a white male trying to reestablish the patriarchy.
But of course now, in retaliation to this, now I thought this was a bit of a joke actually. I didn't realize that the Daily Wire, they've got a kid streaming platform called Bentkey, and they've actually made their own version of Snow White. Take a look.
Once upon a time.
I'm liking the writing, the font. That apple's really popping out.
Once upon a time, but now that time is gone.
Coming soon. Behave yourselves. You know what I like about this trailer? It's 50 seconds long. The music evokes an old-fashioned fairy tale. Brett Cooper, who used to be in Girl Boss on Netflix in 2017. Very good-looking lady. Looking like the 1937 version of Snow White. Again, a fantastic movie. But of course, you know, Rachel Zegler has her issues with that.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
How the animals react to her presence in this trailer is great. The deer, they suddenly stand to attention. Behave yourselves again, knowing that Snow White is in the vicinity. The red squirrel, better than the horrible grey squirrel, is like, you know, minding their own business until he or she looks up and sees Snow White. Snow White obviously casting her enchanting eyes at the animals around her, because if you watch the very charming 1937 cartoon, it's about her sweet innocence with the animals that she interacts with. And don't forget, in the original animated film, there's a moment where she prays to God and asks that Grumpy likes her, because obviously her and Grumpy don't see eye to eye. And I love that moment. And I wonder if they're going to force Rachel Zegler to take on a similar stance and maybe get her to pray to a window and ask God to be on her side, because that would be absolutely hilarious, folks. And the last story, ladies and gentlemen, I will end this podcast on today. Well, I never saw this one coming. So South Park, the creators, of course, who are Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I got lambasted on my video about that because people were saying, enjoyable video, dude, but why did you get the creators' names wrong? And I'll tell you why, because when I'm in the moment, when, as Hannibal Smith puts it, I'm on the jazz, not the jizz, then things can go a little bit haywire. But honestly, this article here from Fox News will say everything you need to know, really, which is South Park lauded for mocking Disney's woke gender and race-swapping reboots. Of course, the creators behind South Park, they are, of course, national treasures, because what else would they be? Just like Kenny Everett is my national treasure, along with Benny Hill and Frankie Howard. Of course, as you know, the Pandaverse began on Paramount Plus yesterday, courtesy of South Park. I haven't had a chance to download the episodes yet to watch them, but I'm sure it's going to be an absolutely rollicking ride. And I just want to show you this clip, which had me absolute hysterics. There's quite a few of them going around. There's one where Kathleen Kennedy, yes, they actually take the red hot stick and shove it up Kathleen Kennedy's a-hole.
With AI, we can detect the smallest irregularities. Take a look. Different.
not literally, but figuratively speaking. Yeah, there's a clip I've seen where she says, "Oh, put a cat in it and make the cat gay." But this one really does take the biscuit. Let's have a watch, folks.
Thunderstone for the first time a few years ago. Bob Iger took us to the Disney archives and showed us an ancient piece of artificial intelligence that could be used to make the same movies over and over.
I like how you've only got one person of diversity on the board of members, which is pretty accurate, actually.
Same makeup Mrs. Kennedy uses.
I mean, according to this, she really is Kathleen Kennedy. Or Kathleen Kennedy from another universe. That's enough!
At first we fought. I tried to send it back to its universe, but it got the upper hand. It was able instead to send me to this universe, out of its way so it could thrive in ours.
That's actually the best explanation I've heard as to why Disney movies all suck now.
Kathleen Kennedy, you deserve what you get, love. Everybody who's in the firing line from Trey Parker and Matt Stone, you're going to get custard pie in your faces, folks, and you absolutely deserve it. I don't know about you, but I thought that clip is just like, it's got Emmy Award nomination written all over it. If anybody's going to stick it to the man, it's going to be those two creators behind South Park. And if you know anything about them, they will go after any subject. If it's deemed taboo, they will go there. They've even done the Prophet Muhammad as well, which I haven't seen those episodes. I don't know if I can find them. They should be on DVD, but I believe some of the major networks have actually pulled those down for fear of retaliation, and we all know why that is. But on this particular edition of the podcast, folks, don't even wait for me to say my usual signing out. Say goodbye for now, but let's go over to this fool right here and see what he has to say.
And on that one, folks, if you enjoyed this video today, make sure you hit the like button, smash the subscribe button like the Incredible Hulk, and I will see you, if you are me, on the next video.